Let me tell you something most people don't realize until they've wasted hundreds of dollars on designer bottles. Price doesn't equal luxury. There are fragrances out there, well under $30, that smell more opulent, more elegant, and more put together than scents 5 times their price. You just have to know where to look. I've tested hundreds of cheap and clone fragrances. I've chased the hype, sifted through duds, and hunted down the sleeper hits. And today I'm dropping 10 elite tier clones that smell undeniably rich, without torching your bank account. Let's get into it. Afnan Modeste pour Homme Doux, clone of Jean-Paul Gaultier. Ultra male. Price, around $25. You want attention? You want projection? You want something that smells like it costs triple the price? Modest Doux delivers and then some. It opens with a shockwave of juicy pear, that same syrupy, almost candied note that made Ultra Male so iconic. But Afnan didn't stop there. They took the DNA and added smoother, richer vanilla and a touch of creamy amber that gives it a more rounded, almost velvety feel. What makes this fragrance smell rich isn't just the sweetness, it's the contrast. That warm vanilla amber dry down creates depth, balancing the fruitiness with a sensual edge. This isn't some generic body spray clone. It's bold, confident, and unapologetically magnetic. Now let's talk performance. This is one of those rare cheapies that punches way above its weight. We're talking 6 to 8 hours of solid wear, with the first 3 hours being absolute projection central. You don't need more than 4 to 5 sprays or it'll become too loud. Best for evenings, nights out, or date nights when you want to leave a scent trail that sticks. It's youthful, yes, but it's not immature. Think of it like wearing a well-fitted leather jacket and showing up with presents. If you're just getting into sweet, bold scents or want something that leans seductive without being basic, this is one of the best under 30 choices on the market. And unlike some other ultra male clones that either overdo the sweetness or smell synthetic, this one actually smells complete. Paris Corner. La Nuit Pandora Scents Line. Clone of YSL, La Nuit de l'Homme. Price, around $23. La Nuit de l'Homme is known for being one of the most seductive scents in designer history. That iconic blend of cardamom and lavender, wrapped in soft woods, made it a legend. But with reformulations and weaker batches from YSL, the original's magic has become harder to find. That's where Paris Corner La Nuit steps in. This is hands down one of the best interpretations of La Nuit de l'Homme I've ever smelled, especially at this price point. It captures that smooth, mysterious, date night DNA to near perfection. The cardamom opening is warm and spicy, but not sharp. The lavender gives it a slightly powdery elegance. And the dry down? It's clean, masculine, with just enough sweetness to feel romantic. What I love about this clone is its intentional subtlety. It doesn't try to beast mode its way through the room. Instead, it pulls people in. It's intimate, refined, and knows it smells good. Performance is solid for this scent profile, about 5 to 6 hours on skin, a little more on clothes. It's not a projection monster, but that's the point. This is for close encounters, for evenings where you want your scent to whisper, not shout. Spray it on the pulse points, wrists, neck, back of the ears, maybe one on the shirt. That's all you need. Pro tip, layer this with a clean musky fragrance or even a drop of Dior Homme cologne type scent, and you'll create a contrast that's both seductive and fresh. This is one of those rare clones that feels grown, polished, and incredibly wearable, and at around $23, it's a no-brainer for your rotation. Lattafa Fakhar. Clone of YSLYEDP meets Ultra Male. Price, around $25. Let's talk modern DNA, something that smells sexy, clean, and mass-appealing without smelling like every generic blue fragrance on the shelf. Lattafa Fakhar is that hidden gem. It's not a direct clone of just one scent. Instead, it smells like what would happen if YSL, EDP, and Ultra Male merged into something smooth, bright, and surprisingly refined. The opening, fresh and fruity with that familiar pear sweetness, but way more balanced than Modest Doux. The heart adds in florals and a hint of green sharpness that gives it structure. And the dry down is musky, woody, and clean. Almost soapy in the best way. Here's why it smells rich. It's layered. It doesn't hit you with one note and ride it out. Fakhar evolves. It smells like something a guy would wear to a rooftop event or a luxury hotel bar. Not too sweet, not too bold, just dialed in. Performance is beastly. Easily 8+ hours on my skin with a strong scent bubble for the first few hours. On clothes, you're smelling this the next day. It's especially good for guys in their 20s and 30s who want to smell modern, fresh, but with a little swagger. I wouldn't call it niche smelling, but it's definitely elevated. Spray it on and give it a few minutes. It really blooms into something impressive. Haramain. Detour Noir, clone of Parfums de Marly Layton, price around $28. This, right here. This is what I call a sleeper banger. Latent by Parfums de Marly is one of the richest, most addictive niche fragrances in the game. Spicy apple, creamy vanilla, aromatic lavender, all blending into this luxurious, cozy, elegant scent. But it'll cost you around $250+ for a bottle. Enter Detour Noir from Haramain, a $28 bottle that captures 90% of that latent magic with none of the sticker shock. You get that same vibrant apple spice up top, followed by a creamy, almost powdery lavender vanilla heart. There's something smooth and creamy about it. No sharp edges, no synthetic roughness. It wears soft, but present. And the dry down? Warm, inviting, and wrapped in a cozy sweetness that feels expensive. What makes this one elite is the blend quality. It doesn't smell harsh or overly chemical like some budget clones do. Haramain absolutely nailed the balance here. Performance very solid. 6 to 7 hours on skin, more on fabric. Projection is moderate. It doesn't scream, but it announces you with confidence. Wear this in the fall, winter, or even chilly spring nights. It's versatile enough for both daytime and date night, but really shines in semi-formal settings. Think nice dinners, evening events, or anytime you want to smell like you have your life together. Another thing I love? The bottle. Matte black, clean lines. It actually looks more expensive than it is. If you're building a cheap fragrance collection and don't have this yet, add it. Detour Noir isn't just a good latent clone. It's a great fragrance, period. Absolutely. Paris Corner, Emir Wild Vibrant. Clone of Tom Ford Neroli Portofino. Price, around $26. This is how you smell like a trust fund kid on a yacht off the Amalfi Coast, without spending more than you would on lunch. Tom Ford's Neroli Portofino is the definition of coastal luxury. Bright citrus, sharp neroli, clean musks, and a sheer breezy finish that feels like sun-soaked Italian skin. It smells like wealth, but like effortless, born-into-it wealth. Wild Vibrant by Paris Corner's Emir line is one of the very few clones that manages to nail that clean citrus neroli balance without veering into floor cleaner territory. Let's break it down. The opening is bright, like freshly sliced bergamot and lemon rinds spritzing into the air. Then comes the neroli. Not too sharp, not too floral. It smells like fresh white linens drying in warm Mediterranean air. There's a slight bitterness here in a good way that keeps things elegant, not juvenile. You also get a subtle amber musk base that gives the whole thing some warmth and lift. It doesn't just fade into nothingness like many citrus scents tend to do. And that's key. Most neroli clones, or even citrus-heavy scents in general, smell amazing for 15 minutes, then completely disappear. But Wild Vibrant? It gives you a good 4 to 5 hours of noticeable wear. That's excellent for a freshie, especially at this price. Is it a beast mode scent? No, and it shouldn't be. This isn't for clubbing or projecting across a bar. This is about smelling like money in close-range environments. Airports, garden parties, casual summer dates. It's easygoing but refined. Think white shirt, navy shorts, designer sunglasses. You're not trying hard. You're just used to the finer things. Another underrated strength? It layers beautifully. You can throw this on top of a light vanilla base or even something aquatic, and it'll add freshness without conflict. I sometimes layer it with Mont Blanc Starwalker to give that woody musky base a citrus pop. It works like a charm. Bottom line, if you want to smell clean, bright, and high class without looking like you watch too many best summer colognes videos, Wild Vibrant is a hidden gem. Lattafa Perfumes Blue Oud, clone of Bleu de Chanel EDP. Price around $25. Here's a scent that had me raising an eyebrow, then nodding in slow approval. Because what Lattafa Blue Oud pulls off is subtle genius. Everyone knows Bleu de Chanel. It's modern, it's clean, it's mature, but it's also expensive, and let's be real. Most of the clones out there just don't do it justice. They either lean too fresh and synthetic or miss the incense woody dry down entirely. But Blue Oud? It's different. Now first, don't be misled by the name. This isn't an Audi heavy scent. The Oud in Blue Oud is barely noticeable. What you're getting here is a refined take on Bleu de Chanel EDP with a slightly darker, slightly more mysterious twist. The opening gives you that classic citrus ginger sparkle. Clean and modern, but what surprised me is how quickly the incense and smoky wood kicks in. That dry down has real depth. It's not just fresh and done, it lingers with a mature, almost gentlemanly tone. Here's where it gets really good. Blue Oud doesn't just mimic blue's DNA. It elevates it with subtle richness. The musk is smoother. The incense is slightly more pronounced. It doesn't smell exactly like blue, but it smells like something that would sit right next to it on a niche shelf. Projection? Solid. Not overpowering. It gives you a personal scent bubble for about 6 hours, maybe more on fabric. It smells incredibly clean and professional, without that overplayed synthetic vibe you get in cheaper clones. This is the kind of fragrance that gets described as, he smells like he has a driver. It's polished, urban, and restrained in the best way. Spray it before heading into a meeting, a casual date, or even as your daily office wear if you want something refined but easy. And here's a bonus. Since Blue Oud isn't as well known in clone circles yet, it still flies under the radar. People will notice the scent, but they won't immediately peg it as a copy. That's rare in the clone world, and something I always look for. Lattafa Qaed Al Fursan, clone of Creed Aventus with a pineapple vanilla twist. Price, around $27. Look, we've all heard about Aventus clones. Club de Nuit Intense Man basically built an empire off it. But what if I told you there's a cheaper Aventus alternative that actually smells different enough to be interesting? Qaed Al Fursan is not your average pineapple bomb. Instead of going for the smoky, musky, hyper-masculine take on Aventus, Lattafa went in a sweeter, creamier direction, and I love them for it. The opening is all about that pineapple. Ripe, juicy, slightly tart. But very quickly, a sweet vanilla note comes in and completely changes the vibe. It goes from being a clone to feeling like an inspired twist on the original. A little less aggressive, a little more approachable. And here's the kicker. That pineapple vanilla combo smells expensive. Like, I fly business class just because I can. Expensive. You still get hints of smokiness and wood, but they're smoothed out. It's a softer, rounder scent profile that makes it super versatile. Work, dates, warm weather, cooler weather. It works almost everywhere except maybe the dead of winter. Projection and longevity? Solid. Easily 6 to 8 hours with noticeable scent trail in the first few. It's not beast mode, but it doesn't need to be. It's charming, confident, elevated without trying to prove anything. And let's talk bottle. That gold accented design actually looks premium. You'd never guess this costs under $30. If you've been burnt out on Aventus clones or just want something that keeps the vibe but adds a creamy, sweet, wearable twist, Qaed Al Fursan is a brilliant choice. Ard Al Zafaran Dirham Wardi, clone of Maison, Francis Kurkjian Baccarat Rouge 540. Price, around $18. Now this one shouldn't cost what it does. Let's be real, Baccarat Rouge 540 is legendary. That ethereal mix of saffron, ambergris, and airiness has become one of the most recognizable niche scents of the last decade. But it's also insanely expensive. Dirham Wardi gives you 85% of that luxurious vibe for under $20, and it's honestly one of the best BR 540 inspired clones out there, especially for men who want to wear something unisex but powerful. The opening is sweet and airy, almost like cotton candy laced with exotic spice. Then the saffron and musky woods come in, and it starts to feel opulent. This doesn't shout, it radiates. People don't smell it and think sweet perfume, they think, what is that? Performance is strong. You'll get a good 7+ hours and it projects. Not in a loud way, but in that Baccarat scent trail kind of way where you smell amazing every time you move. And don't be fooled by the pink bottle. This is absolutely wearable for men. In fact, on male skin, the amber and woods come out more, making it a lot less sugary and more seductive. This is the perfect wild card scent. It's affordable, smells expensive, and not many people are talking about it. Yet. Lattafa Asad Zanzibar, clone of YSL Tuxedo y Roja Dove Elysium vibes. Price, around $29. Asad Zanzibar is one of those fragrances that immediately makes you pause and say, wait, this is under $30? It smells like something you'd find behind a velvet rope, not on a discount fragrance site. This scent leans into that tuxedo-style DNA. Dark, spicy, and elegant, with an added creamy, aromatic twist that gives it a modern edge. There's a hint of pepper up top, balanced by warm vanilla and something that almost feels like suede. It's seductive without being sweet, and smooth without being flat. As it dries down, there's this velvety richness that reminds me a bit of Roja's Elysium. Not in the citrus sense, but in how it feels expensive, composed, and sophisticated. Think upscale lounge, dark wood interiors, black button-down shirt. Zanzibar just fits that whole aesthetic. Performance is impressive, 8+ hours easily with strong projection in the first few. You spray this on and it lingers in the air behind you like a signature. If you're building a collection of powerful masculine scents that don't smell like they came from a mall shelf, Zanzibar is a must. It's mature, upscale, and extremely wearable for cooler seasons or evening events. This is gentleman fragrance on a budget, but no one around you will know that. Gisonta Maison Alhambra Woody Oud, clone of Tom Ford Oud Wood. Price, around $27. Tom Ford's Oud Wood is smooth, spicy, mysterious, and expensive. But Woody Oud by Maison Alhambra, it nails the same luxurious feel for under $30. Right off the bat, you get that silky Oud note. Not funky, not overpowering, just warm and refined. It blends into creamy woods and a dash of cardamom that gives it an almost incense-like aura. The dry down is where the magic happens. Slightly smoky, a little sweet, and very, very smooth. What I love is that it doesn't try to be loud. It's confidently quiet. This is for the guy who doesn't need to shout to be noticed. His scent does the talking. Longevity? solid 7 to 9 hours. Projection, moderate but steady. It's not going to fill a room, but it'll make anyone within arm's reach lean in a little closer. This is an evening masterpiece, perfect for fall and winter. You wear this with a sweater and scarf in cold air and it just works. It's also one of the best starter oud scents if you've never worn oud before. No medicinal funk, just elegant warmth. And for under $30, you're smelling niche-level luxury for gas money. You can pick up every one of these fragrances right on Amazon. Quick shipping, reliable sellers, and no guesswork. Whether you're building your collection or just want something that smells way more expensive than it is, these are easy wins. Smell like a gentleman without spending like one.